What's going on, everyone? How's it going? This week's episode of Ningen Fushin was pretty good. Um, I'm not gonna say it was the best thing in the whole world. However, I did enjoy it, and we got a little lesson with it. So, with that being said, let's just dive into this stuff. So, right from the beginning, we're at the Adventures Guild because obviously they got to sign up for signing up as a guild together. And they get there and they've got this cute demi-human squirrel girl, which I've never personally seen that before, so I thought that was kind of a cute, nice little chef's kiss. But they get there and they instantly just, they've got this just looks on their faces that scare her away. And the guild master, which I'm assuming she's the guild master, or she's just the receptionist or something like that, she's, don't go making our little receptionist cry. And so we kind of do that, and she recognizes Nick from his old group, so she knows it's like an actual liable group, even though we've got like a spellcaster, a heavy fighter, some like nimble fighter, and then like a cleric type character. So she asks, kind of what the name of the group's gonna be, and we kind of find out that Kuran actually in her last group survived a C-class dungeon. And in this world, they start off with G, which is pretty low for like a class ranking in my opinion, but it is what it is. But based on that type of thing, they kind of decided to go with the name Survivors, which I thought was pretty neat. And from there on, we kind of jump into I can't remember if it doesn't really say it, but I'm assuming it looks to me like it's Tiana's place. And they're kind of discussing the basics of what they're going to do as a group, and they have 3 laws in their group. The first rule is no interfering with other people's hobbies. So, their gambling or their sex or what. We don't really know Kuran's hobby, but Nick and his idol stuff. The second law is going to be watch the money, because obviously he got fucked with money in the last group. And the last one's come back alive no matter what, which is, a pretty simple rule to have as a group. And with that all being said and out of the way, we kind of discuss trust issues, because everybody in this group has trust issues, which is like the main center point of this episode. So we get to the next day, and they're in the G rank dungeon, which is pretty much slimes. I'm gonna be quite front with you, they're slimes. And Nick's kind of discussing how they should strategize as a party to work together, because Tiana and Zem have never actually done dungeons together, or like at all, period. So they're taking slimes, and Nick kind of teaches them pretty much just to take their core out, and that's how you defeat a slime. It's pretty simple stuff. But however, Zem kind of finds it kind of cruel, kind of being like an ex-priest, so it makes sense, but he finds it kind of cruel, the fact that humans fight monsters and kill them and everything. But Tiana pretty much describes to him the fact that there's been like extensive researches on trying to communicate, and just nothing has worked out. So it's kind of the only option at this point, because no matter what, they attack humans. And with that, it's kind of a eat all world. And Nick's like biggest point to drive home is pretty much stay aware of your surroundings, because you never know what's gonna come. And of course, Tiana's talking, and she has some slime fall directly right on her face, and she gets really salty about it. So she's gonna attack the slime ahead of her. She uses like this icicle move that almost reminds me of like Amelia and Puck from Ray Zero, and it's flying straight towards Karan. And she blocks it with her sword, because she's got lightning quick reflexes and she's experienced. However, this creates a creates a little shovel between the two of them, and they're kind of salty, this whole thing. And while they do that, we get to the final boss of this dungeon, which is this big pink slime. And before Nick can really say anything, Tiana kind of just runs up there and shoots a huge one of those icicles. And we find out that the slimes have big reactions to magic, especially ice magic. So it sludges like everywhere and just gets them covered in goop. Luckily, in this world, slime does not take clothes off for them, but they are covered. And so they go to this river to kind of wash off their slime, and it's really kind of cool because you see Kuran wiping off her horn, and I think that's really kind of a cool, neat little thing to add to it. And Nick sits down, and I think it's a really cool fact that they show the fact that he's more of an experienced adventurer because he's got scars all over his body, and I think that's a really cool detail to add to this story, considering the fact that him and Kuran are technically the only experienced party members. I think it's kind of a cool little thing to add to it, but he's kind of like showing him all the equipment he has and what his weaknesses are, and just so everybody kind of knows, you know, what they have to work with. And so they kind of question it, you know, with the trust thing again, you know, like what if, you know, you're just trying to make it so blah, 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 you know, you could hurt me. But they kind of hadn't realized that, okay, so this could kind of help each other out. And finally, Tiana gets up and bows down to Kuran and apologizes to her and tells her weakness is because she wants her to trust her more. And it's really kind of a bonding moment while Kuran shoots a fireball towards Tiana because she's freezing, and it kind of warms her up. And of course, you know, Kuran's like, yeah, next time, you know, whoops, I missed, you know, maybe next time I'll hit you. And she's like, good, do it, because, you know, a little banters. It was kind of cute and everything. So the last challenge for the day is a horde of goblins. Now, the goblins actually look decently well in this. There is some animation that's a little iffy in this episode. However, for the most part, with the characters and the action, it's pretty solid. So we get to there, and we find out that Zem kind of finds out that goblins and humanoid objects are a little harder to beat than slimes. But, you know, common sense. However, we never said that was like a given in this world. So we get to see a little more of her icicle dance, Tiana's icicle dance. And she senses that there's a stronger being around, and Nick pretty much knows that it's more than likely a hobgoblin. So they're immune to magic, so it's pretty much up to the fighter and tank to take care of it. So Nick and Kuran, and they strategize about this. Obviously, the other two are going to stay in the back, kind of try to be the uppers, and Zem casts this like iron strength skill on them, which is going to give them obviously more of a boost for attacking, so get that plus. And Tiana shoots this nice ice beam, or another one of those ice attacks, kind of taking care of the goblins behind her, which shows that obviously Kuran's showing a little more trust in the matter because she's shooting behind her and not hitting her. And she comes to realize that, you know, Tiana comes from like a noble background, so obviously it was really hard for her to apologize because she's probably never had to apologize in her entire life. So she's trusting her a little more. And she goes to do this fire attack to kill this hobgoblin, and it is awesome. She's got like fire coming up her huge blade and spins and slices this fucker in half. It is really cool. So right after that, they defeat it, and they're all a little happier now, and they have to collect the horns, obviously, so they can get compensated at the guild. Now, while they're collecting all the horns, Nick has a little trouble getting one out, and while he does do that, he bumps into Kuran and knocks down this pendant that she has in her hand, and he apologizes right away. However, the pendant cracks, and it's like this white swan that is on there. We don't know anything about it yet. However, I do feel it's going to go into finally getting her Kuran's backstory, since we haven't really gotten it yet out of anybody. And that's where the episode does end. It was a pretty good episode, kind of just exploring the party and the characters themselves, and kind of how they're getting to trust each other and build everything together, starting from scratch as a new party and learning each other's weaknesses and strengths. I thought it was a pretty neat episode. The animation, like I did say, was a little bit sketch in some points. However, you know, what do? It's a tough industry. It's not like it was completely trash the whole episode, because most of the character designs and action were pretty good. I'm really looking forward to continuing this series, and I hope everyone else who watches this does watch the series, because it is pretty damn good. Even though this winter 2023 season has a lot of really good romance and rom-coms and stuff like that, which I'm not really covering too many of them right now. However, I am enjoying the crap out of them. So with that being said, out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it or stayed this far, and if you feel generous enough to give me a subscription or subscribe to my channel, please do. With that being said, out of the way, I hope you all have a good one, and this has been Squids. Peace.